Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Renee and this is my third reading challenge video. I'm giving you the third update on my reading challenge and the 2015 reading challenge, and we're in week 5. Is it week 5? Yes, we're in week 5. And the books I read the last 2 weeks, week 3 was a book that turned into a movie, and for that week I read The Hobbit. This book is a children's book. It was meant for children, but obviously the movie was for adults. It had a lot of graphic scenes in the movie. The book, while it describes it, is not so graphic, and because I saw the movie before I read the book, I was a bit disappointed. I've never before said that about a book, and I was disappointed in the book. So if you do, I would suggest you read the book first. Don't make the mistake that I made. Read the book first and then go see the movies. For week number 4 was a book that was published this year, and of course we went with the book that was published in the last 12 months because it is still January. So I got Body Count by Barbara Nadel. It is a cop thriller. It's set in Istanbul, and Barbara Nadel, this is her 17th cop thriller. I think she called it the Inspector Ickman Mysteries. So this is the 7th book in the mystery series. In this one, Inspector Ickman, he was going to retire, but then in his final year of service serving the police in Istanbul, some murders started happening starting on the 21st of January. It was 2012, and according to the Mayan calendar, that was the year when the world should have ended, was going to end. They had predicted that the world was going to end in 2012, and there was a significance with the number 21 with the Mayan calendar and with the gypsies, I believe, because there were a lot of gypsies in Istanbul in the story. Now, I don't know a lot about Istanbul, but I did Google the areas that Barbara Nadel mentioned in the book, and I think she did a very, very good job describing the look and the feel of the place. That is the exact look and feel I got when I went online and I saw the pictures of all the buildings and the people. So much more the buildings than the people. It's about a murderer who goes around killing people on the 21st of each month, and how he does it is really gruesome. I don't want to spoil the story for you if you haven't read it, because it is a good book. It started out really slow, but it built up to the climax of the story in about the middle part, and it got really interesting, and I just had to sit down and read everything in one go because it got really cool and interesting, and I enjoyed it. I was telling you about the story. I got distracted. My apologies. The police were trying to find out who was doing the murders, and they didn't realize the pattern of 21st until March 21st, when the third murder happened, and then they started to make the connection. They spoke to a professor at a university. He was an academia. He came in with some information, and he told them about the Mayan calendar and how the murders had some similarities to the beliefs, the Mayan beliefs, and the sacrificing and a lot of the things that were happening in the murders to the victims. He could connect them back to the Mayans and their beliefs and their practices. There weren't any Mayans in Istanbul in the story, but there were gypsies, and there's a lot of mention of gypsies and the Ottoman family, which is a royal family, and transgenders and homosexuals. It does get very I wouldn't say explicitly sexual, but it does talk a lot about the transgender and the homosexuals, and they do have a lot to play. The sexual lives of the victims do have a lot to do with their deaths, but more so their connection with the royal family, because a lot of people in Istanbul at the time wanted the royal family back in rule, and the killer didn't want that. Obviously, he hated them. So, yeah, he killed them. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but they did find the killer after 7 murders, 6 murders, 1 attempted murder. It is a good story, as I said. I would give this about 4 stars. I give it 4 stars. There's a cast list. Can you see that? It has a cast list. So Barbara Nadel obviously knew that it would be difficult for her first time readers to keep track of all the characters, and it did help, even when I was at the back of the book I still had to be going to the cast list to see who is who. But all in all, it was a good book. Now for weeks 5 and 6, I will not be reading a physical book. I'll be reading on my Kindle, because it's just easier to walk around with just my Kindle than walking around with so many books in my bag. So for week 5, book with a number in the title, and this one is also on my Kindle. It is 4 Years from Home. It is 4 Years from Home by Larry Enright, and this story is about a little boy who had promised his grandmother that he was going to be a priest. He was supposed to become a priest, but instead of going to study to be a priest, he decided that he wasn't even going to be Catholic anymore, and he left for college, and his family barely heard from him in the 4 years. He just wrote enough to let them know that he was still alive, probably. His family didn't speak of him while he was away, and after his 4 years in college, he came back home. And that's all I know so far. And I want to read the rest of it because I have a curious mind. I love to read. I need to read it. I need to know what happened. It is a book that was written by an author under the age of 30. And for this week, I have chosen to read Hyperbole and a Half, Flawed Unfortunate Situations, Flawed Coping Mechanisms, Mayhem, and Other Things That Happened to Me by Ali Brush. Now, Hyperbole and a Half is a really popular book. I've been seeing it on BookTube here a lot and all over Goodreads, and people seem to really love this book. I have it on my Kindle. I hear it's a blog. Ali Brush is under 30 years old. I believe she wrote this book when she was about, I don't remember, she was in her 20s. She was pretty young when she wrote this book. She probably still is because it's a new book. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Anyway, she does have a blog, and I will be looking at the blog. I haven't seen it yet. And it's a story of things that happened to her and story of things that happened to other people because of her. Which doesn't say much about the book, but I'm intrigued. I want to read it. Those were my books for the past 2 weeks, and those are my books for the next 2 weeks. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe so you can see my new videos as they come out. I will leave my social links right over here somewhere on the screen, or you can check it in the description box. Either way, later.